Today we're gonna talk about rocks. And as soon as you will go into steeper terrain, they are a big part of free riding. How do you like your couloir? On the rocks. The main risk about hitting rocks is obviously to cartwheel, and cartwheeling in freeriding could be lethal if you're above exposure or if you have rocks in the back, so it's something to avoid, obviously. Is it going to be soft rock or hard rock? Is it going to be sharp or is it going to be round rocks? Is it going to be crumbly or really solid rock? All these factors really make a big difference when you touch them with your board or your skis. So let's talk about technique now. There are a few points that would make a huge difference when you encounter rocks in your riding. So rule number one is to be riding aligned with your body with the weight on both your feet. So that's kind of a conservative riding, which is going to allow you not to be off balance. So as soon as you hit a rock, it's not going to throw you off the board. Your body is going to be able to counterbalance it. And then rule number two is to try to ride really light on your feet, which means not carving in your turns, but more sliding above the snow. That requires a little bit of training, but that's something that's very useful in free riding when you're not sure about what's underneath. You basically just stay on the surface of the snow instead of dipping into it. Speed helps you, because with the speed you're going to stay above the snow and you're not going to hit the rocks as hard. And basically I would say that at very low speed, that's when the rocks are going to grab your boat the most and throw you overboard. A big advantage of snowboarding is that we're really able to manage and control the angle of the board versus the slope. So for example, and especially in toe side, if you're carving, you're going to have a really aggressive angle against the snow. But if you decide to really feather above it, you're going to be able to really align as much as possible your board to the angle of the snow and slide above it without grabbing anything that's underneath, and especially rocks. So if it gets really rocky and you have to kind of down climb through rocks, I usually like to go on my heel edge, so kind of using my ass, and especially if there are ledges on the side where you can push yourself, that's going to be a good option. Be careful in that scenario if the rock underneath is slabby, because that becomes really lethal if you're on your heel edge. If it's really too exposed, it's often better to just stop, strap off the board, down climb, and then strap again. But that once again doesn't work if the rocks are slabby, so really take that into consideration, and especially because the slabs are under the snow and you don't see them, so that's really a tricky part of snowboarding. Around rocks there can be a lot of sugar sometimes, especially with continental snowpacks like we have in the Alps. So when you walk around them or when you ride around them, everything can collapse around them. So that's something to be taken into consideration. It's not too dangerous, but sometimes it can be a bit of a surprise. Also, one other point which can be important is that whenever there is tension in the snowpack, when you go close to the rocks, it could be a trigger point to the whole slab. So that's also something to bear in mind. Hey, at the end of the day, learning how they feel, getting used to them, not being surprised at the wrong moment can make you progress a ton as a freerider. So take that into consideration, take that consciously, and go out there and have fun.